Spiritual revelation can come through a dream, a prophetic word, or in this case, a vision. 3 ways. Spiritual revelation can come through a dream, a prophetic word, or in this case, a vision. But spiritual revelation is not the only way that you receive vision. Another way is when you have a deep concern for something. A deep concern to the point that it becomes a burden. So we're going to look at Nehemiah. Nehemiah 1 through 4. Nehemiah saw or heard about what happened to Jerusalem. See, Jerusalem had been burned. It was burning with fire. The people displaced, right? Taken into captivity. The survivors who left captivity in the province in Nehemiah 3 are there in great distress and reproach, is what the word says. The wall of Jerusalem is also broken down, and its gates are burned with fire. And Nehemiah says, so it was when I heard these words that I sat down and wept and mourned for many days. I was fasting and praying before the God of heaven. Nehemiah heard what was going on with his people, and his heart poured out compassion for what was happening. Now, if you read the rest of the story, you'll see that out of this deep concern, Nehemiah had such a passion that he wanted to rebuild Jerusalem. He wanted to rebuild the walls. So out of his deep concern came a vision. And the vision was to restore what had been destroyed. Sometimes you are passionate about a wrong because God wants to use you to make it right. But you got to do something. You've got to let that stir up in you so that a vision forms and you say, I'm going to be the one to change this. This means something to me. If you guys remember, 2 years ago? I think 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we did a drive in the church for dogs in Iran. You guys remember that? Right? In Iran, they treat animals like, you can only imagine. Domestic animals, they just, they terrorize, they persecute, they kill, they just, if you can imagine what they do to people, they do worse to the dogs. And so Tina was seeing all this stuff, and she learned of a shelter there that was taking in all of these stray animals. And a passion stirred in her to want to do something. And so she kicked off a drive in the church. We raised funds. We bought things that the shelter needed, and we sent it halfway across the world to Iran to help care for these dogs. See, a deep concern for something can stir up something in you to want to make it better. Martin Luther King looked at his people, and out of his desire, out of that deep concern for what he saw, a vision stirred up. And then he did something with it. Don't just look at a burden that gets placed on your heart as something for you to say, well, that's bad. But when it's something that is making you want to be outraged, when you say to yourself, this isn't right, this needs to be changed, then ask God, what's the vision? Let something birth out of that. Let a desire birth out of that. And then take hold of it and run with it. You be the change agent. Out of deep concern, a vision can spawn. Most people will receive a vision in their life through this process. We say it again. Most people will receive a vision in their life through this process. So if you've been going through life and you've never gotten prophesied a vision, it's okay. Most people don't get prophesied vision. They get a vision by deep concern, by wrong that needs to be right. by being concerned about something to the point that it drives you to want to be a part of the change, to be a part of making it better. It stirs up a vision. Nehemiah didn't dream it. God didn't reveal it. No one prophesied it. It was a deep concern for a situation, and it spawned purpose for his life. The third way to receive a vision, we look at Joshua. Joshua received his vision through association and impartation. And Deuteronomy 31:7-8, and then Deuteronomy 34:9. 7:8, then Moses called Joshua and said to him in the sight of all Israel, be strong and of good courage, for you must go with this people to the land which the Lord has sworn to their fathers to give them, and you shall cause them to inherit it. And the Lord, he is the one who goes before you. He will be with you. He will not leave you nor forsake you. Do not fear, nor be dismayed. And then in 34:9, now Joshua the son of Nun was full of the spirit of wisdom, for Moses had laid hands. Moses laid his hands on him. So the children of Israel heeded him and did as the Lord had commanded Moses. And he did as the Lord commanded Moses. So Joshua's vision was the same as Moses' vision. It was no different. Take the people to the promised land. He was raised up around Moses. He knew Moses' purpose. He was there when Moses went up to the mountain and when he came down. Joshua was the one when Moses was in the tent praying. Joshua was right there at his feet. He stuck to Moses like glue. He was there when the people came out of Egypt. He was there when the miracles were being done through Moses. He was so close to Moses that when God took Moses away, he gave Joshua the same commission. Joshua received his vision for life because he was under a man who had a vision for life. And since he was under a man of vision, he caught the vision. And then he received an impartation for the vision to play out in his life. Do you catch that? If you are around people of vision, it is easier for you to catch a vision. It is easier for a vision to spawn in you. That's why that whole thing with Elijah and Elisha, right? The whole mantle falling. There was a vision for the prophet. And Elisha caught the vision. And immediately, what happened? It played out in his life. He's like, okay, God, you did this miracle for him. Struck that woman. Right? God did the same miracles for him. When you catch a vision, when someone has a vision on somebody's life, and God brings you up under that person, and you catch the vision, you will start walking out a part of its fulfillment. The vision that God gave for EoCC, I know that when it comes to fruition, I will not be on this earth. I know that. It's bigger than my lifespan. I know that. But I know that the person and the people who are part of making it happen are in this room. And they'll be the ones who catch it. And they'll be the ones who run with it. And I know it because I saw it from heaven play out, not from earth. You can catch a vision three ways: spiritual revelation, deep concern, association, and impartation. Sometimes people catch a vision for their life because they are associated with the right person. I can tell you, for those of you who are here, you are in this church, and if you become members and stay with this church, you will have a vision that will align with the vision of this church. Why? Because we are people of vision. Most of you are going to have a vision to influence this nation because you are in the midst of an atmosphere of vision that's intended to influence this nation. And that vision, at the right time, will be imparted to you just like it was imparted to Joshua. For Joshua, he was associated with Moses. And by his association, he received impartation. For Nehemiah, it was out of a deep concern and passion he had for a wrong that spawned a vision for him to go make it right. And for Paul, it was a spiritual revelation. Your vision may come in one of three ways. If it doesn't come through revelation, spiritual revelation, don't be concerned. Because I'm going to tell you, you can't force spiritual revelation. Nobody can make God do anything. Can't make him do. You can come and say, okay, there's a prophet here, I'm going to go get prophesied to, and he will prophesy to everybody and skip right over you. And you'll be standing there like, why ain't he prophesied to me? Because you can't force spiritual revelation. You can't make God do something. God will make you get skipped just to put you in your place. He's God. Can't force it. But that tells me if I haven't received a spiritual revelation, I don't have to be concerned about that. Because most people don't get revelation that way. What are you concerned about? What is the desire on your heart? What is it that you want to change? And if that doesn't do it, who are you associating?